Good morning, folks. So, welcome to the third regular Lava Users Forum. While we have slides, don't assume we're going to be talking very much. We want to hear from you folks. Explicitly, this is a question and answer feedback type session. If you're having problems with Lava, if you want us to do more for you, if there are things that you think are working really well and you'd like to share, all of that's good. Neil? And Neil hopefully is going to be taking notes in Gobby for us. Yes. So we've put a lot of effort into documentation over the last year or so, which hopefully should be helping. There's a lot of new features gone into V2. We're getting to the point where we are desperately wanting to get the remaining V1 bits out.
Do we have a copy of Linaro?
No, it's Erzsébet or whatever. How many people here are running a Lava Lab? Okay, quite a few. How many of those people are using V2? How many people are still using V1? Oh, all of you, great. The thing that we really want to try and do is get everybody onto V2 soon. There's a lot of historical design decisions in V1 that have caused problems, and we can't actually do some of our next round of features until they've gone. You're all running V1 and V2, you already be aware of that. What would you like us to do? What do people like? What do people not like? Please grab, hands up, grab a mic.
Can we get the link to the documentation? Yeah. Just do it now.
Yeah.
If you go to the docs link, there is no link to the index of those docs.
Okay.
So it's really hard to get to some valuable docs.
Ah, okay, that's
Sorry, what's the problem?
a link to the docs.
Oh,
Go to
yeah.
validation.
Oh, I'll do that.
Right.
So you
Go
do.
to help, go to V2, you get like this pretty thing.
So you got the index there and the content
Yeah.
are in that one.
Yeah,
Yes, use the microphone, please.
I'm using the microphone. So is this index always there? Because it doesn't appear always for me.
Oh, it should be, absolutely.
So it's a bug.
Yes, it should always be there.
Yeah.
It is a key part of the.
Yeah, it's exactly one of the key things we've been going through. Neil and I in particular have been adding many things into the index to make it easier to find things. If you're not getting this, then there is a problem. Please
Yeah,
talk
the
to us
whole
about
header
it.
was empty for me.
Oh,
So is that on staging or on production?
It was in production. Now it works, but like just a week ago it was empty.
oh, please tell us immediately if you have that kind of issue. That's not expected.
Now, obviously, if you go in, there's no index. There's no index for V1 help, but if you're in the V2 section, you should always have access to that index link there. And tell me as soon as you've. Hopefully, it's not a browser problem.
Yeah, we did have random browser problems, but as far as we can tell, we test on a number of different browsers, and it should just work. So please shout at us immediately. This could be a very short session. Are people happy with Lava? Do people like it?
now that I'm more and more getting involved with V2, there's this sort of slight mismatch between a device type, which you can just stick in the etc Lava server path, and a device instance config, which is the dictionary which you have to update, which you use Lava Tool to do. It feels like it would be nice if we could actually edit it there on the admin. If we got something basically wrong, we can play around with things. It's a minor niggle, really.
Have we got two microphones?
Yeah.
I'm going to be replying to most of these. So the device dictionary, it's not just Lava Tool. You can just do Lava Server Managed Device Dictionary as well. So if you're actually on the instance, you can do it in the command line there. There is an outstanding story to have a look at to see if we actually put the device dictionary on the file system instead. The urgency of that went away because we actually fixed a different problem that meant that it actually went down the priorities a bit. But yeah, we can look at that again.
As I said, it's a minor niggle,
Yeah.
but it's something that I mean, if it could be in the etc Lava server path and just be picked up, that would be awesome,
Yeah.
because that's very close to the way the V1 works and the way I manage the configs and everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Lava is perfect, apparently.
Romy,
And if it's available in etc Lava server or something, so device dictionary, do you still need to be able to modify it from the admin interface or not?
No, if it's in that path, it's fine.
Okay. Because for the card Lava as a service, my manager in ST was asking me to allow users to modify device dictionary in the admin.
Yeah, from my perspective, that would actually, my original comment about doing it through the UI, I'm backing myself back away from that now, because I have to manage configs and I have to manage them in a repo, and so I want the Ginger2 template in the repo and then salt it and we're done. Now, of course, what I can do is have the salt state actually do the Lava server manage and then update the device dictionary. That's the other way of doing it.
Yeah.
So, it's a minor thing, and just I'm trying to save myself a little bit of work. Just, you know.
we understand that.
So we just.
Just put the Etherpad up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like you have to look at the slide.
But I can find the Windows copy of it.
Can we have a way of cancelling jobs in bulk?
Yes.
So these days we are working on a new
So
thing, and
we had this last week, right?
Yeah.
And it turns out that if you've got 8,000 jobs and you want to cancel them through the admin interface, you get a timeout.
Yeah.
When I saw you speaking about that on IRC, I thought maybe we can create. I created a lot of Lava server manage tokens, device, workers, commands, so you can manage all of these objects on the command line directly. Something we can do, I've never tried, but we can do that. It's a Lava server manage jobs, and to change the status of jobs that are matching some queries. Like you can say the status has to be running or submitted,
like you'd have status running or status submitted.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to have submitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
See,
that's.
This is the thing. This is what makes it hard, because what I put in the document is that actually this is not. Each time you do it, you have a different query that needs to actually go through it, and you're much better off actually doing it in the Lava server managed shell.
Yeah.
And you just load in the right object, and then you do the query, and then because the problem with doing a helper via Remy is that somehow you've got to get the list of job IDs and then pass that to the helper.
Can we just use queries?
Yeah, but then, well, this should pick it up.
That's true. Maybe.
Yeah. But it's all down to how the list of jobs gets identified, and you can do things in the Lava Server managed shell you can't do in our queries.
No, I completely understand. It's just that I think what I'm with Antonio here. When that sort of thing happens,
Yeah.
Yes, okay, it's a bit of a pain. I've got to go in and then script everything out, or if I'm not quite sure, I have to bug you. It would be, I mean, from the interface, I was able to select, well, it was 17,000 at one point, wasn't it?
Right.
And you then go cancel all, right? And about 3 minutes later, it would time out,
Right.
and only about only about 900 jobs had actually been cancelled. So you could iterate. Yeah, I was for a moment there. I thought I'd actually screwed the database, but
So I mean the admin interface is malleable. We can actually change what that cancel function does, because that's our code that we insert that helper actually in that level. So it may be better to actually put some iteration support into there. So it just says, right, you've asked me, it knows how many you've asked it to cancel. It just says, oh, that's more than X number. I'll just do a few at a time. What you still find then is that with several thousand, I suspect you'll still get a timeout, but the query, I don't know, Remy, will G-Unicorn just cancel the query in flow?
Just the timeout is inside Postgres directly, so Postgres will roll back.
But if we iterate over 10 at a time in the actual Django admin helper code, which is calling down through the ORM.
Yeah, G-Unicorn will have a timeout. I don't know the
Yes,
timeout for
exactly.
G-Unicorn.
Because
It's a different
through
one.
the UI, not through the command shell.
As far as I understand, the problem is that Django will actually loop over the selected objects and call the cancel method for each one. So you want to have something that does that in one go. Like Little Dirty Secret, yesterday, me and Santi, we did it directly in the database because it's 1 second.
I mean, it gets complicated if the status is.
Yes.
I mean, if the status is not in running or cancelling or some kind of dynamic status, if it is not, the device is not in that kind of status or the job, then it's easy. But if it's in, say, one of these statuses like running or cancelling, so it becomes complicated because we need to update like too many things. Like we should take care of the device and also like put the state transitions and everything. So else, I mean, if it's not in these statuses, it's just like update of the test job status alone. That's it. Because it will have a requested type. Apart from that, it won't have any devices assigned to it yet. So you just change the status as cancelled. It's going to work.
I mean, when you're cancelling that many jobs, the vast majority of those jobs are going to be in the queue. They're going to be in submitted state.
yes.
All right. So it may be a lot better in that to actually cancel all of those first, because it is a simple, single, cheap change, and then think about the ones that are actually running. Don't include running
Oh no.
in that.
Yeah, in most cases, I think you only want to clear the queue. You don't
Yeah.
want to do anything with
Yeah.
the jobs that are already running.
It is the submitted jobs that I'm more worried about because I can then manually go through. It's a handful then that are actually running.
So I don't think we can do anything in the Django admin interface, even in the function that we're calling, to iterate over that many, because we will just find that something else in the chain, whether it's actually in the Apache or G-Unicorn, will still time out.
So what we need is something that can relatively easily from the command line, like Remy was suggesting.
I think the command line is a most reliable thing to do.
And then So the criteria are it's submitted, the submitter is this, and possibly because we had this last week was if we could like wild card the name of the job, because
Yeah, you need the job description. And
As long as it's supported by Django, you can do whatever you want. So wildcard, yes, it's working.
I think the admin filter doesn't have a filter for submitter. So we need to have a filter for who submitted job. The admin interface doesn't have a filter right now.
no, it doesn't. No, it does.
No.
yeah, I think it does.
I mean,
Check.
Oh, I can.
Submitter isn't the problem.
I mean, if we could filter by submitter, I mean, I don't think it's there right now.
What I have done is to log in. Is to log in as a user who sent those jobs and filter by my jobs.
Yeah.
But sometimes.
Yeah. So that's test jobs. You got the submitter column. You might.
I mean, you don't
yeah.
have a
You
filter.
don't have a filter
Oh,
over
you
here.
don't have a filter on submitter. No, you're
Yeah,
right.
the problem is it's just one line in Django.
Yeah. So
Mind you, the list of potential submitters
Yes.
is going to be huge. With a history going back to 2011.
yeah, that's the trouble. You'll end up making that particular page load very slowly,
Unmanageable.
and then you'll never be able to. No.
So, I mean, it's like when we look at devices, and you look at there's one of the filters, you've got the list of all devices, including all the retired VMs.
Yes, that's what we added. So on this one, so if you go to actual Scheduler app devices, this is the new look for the Django admin interface, by the way, when we move to,
Is this on staging?
this is localhost on my laptop.
Oh, right.
So this is running the new, the Django that is not yet in backwards.
Okay.
So yes, so that is why we added exclude retired. All right.
Yeah.
And these filters you can toggle on and off. And
But
all
with
sorts of
the
that.
thing about submitters is there are an awful lot
As
of
far, yeah.
submitters who aren't retired but are no longer with the company.
Yeah.
We don't. That's a very good question. Because managing that particular list of users is really hard through the
So
admin interface.
what does
It's not
the
friendly.
So
Yeah.
is that not
Yeah.
a feature request?
no? Well, it is there. You can actually
Oh no, you can set them to be active.
and inactive.
It's process-wise, what needs to happen is that when somebody leaves the company or is an
Yeah.
assignee that goes back or whatever,
Yeah.
we deactivate their account.
Yeah.
But we don't.
We haven't been doing that.
No.
Right.
Well,
I sometimes get, very occasionally, I will get an email saying, "Oh, can you deactivate this person?"
Well, you're not going to do it on your on
No.
on spec.
Well, because I'm not
You
tracking
don't
everybody.
exactly. You
Yeah.
don't know.
so if we
So
did,
Neil, just go to the users column. So go right to the top and pick users. I just want to look.
so this is on my local host.
Oh,
So we've got by active no. That's a default, because the thing with user, that is actually a
And is that-
Djangoism.
now sorted alphabetically.
Yeah.
Oh,
Using it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was it not previously?
It seems
We
to be-
have made that change recently. Well, when I say not that recently. So you can see there on staging.
Yeah.
All right. So if on staging we had more people, we do have a number of people. I've probably gone through and actually made a couple of these people inactive on staging, and I can do it by active, yes.
Oh, so I've just seen one name in there that I know I went through and deactivated.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. But there's a bunch more there where, yeah, and you can see on staging and on production, there's a bunch of duplicates because of the changes we went through for the LDAP
For LDAP,
support
yeah.
and the whole other things. So there is a work item there, or a rather monotonous one, of actually toggling all those, or your team,
Yeah.
or maybe,
Where are they?
and on staging it's my team. So someone will pick that up.
I mean,
So that you can make better.
Yeah.
There is still the issue of actually selecting and cancelling a lot of jobs.
Yeah. So
Is that better done on the command line?
yes,
I,
because
I have no problem
solves
with it
all
being
the
done on the
problems of
command line.
yeah.
I just don't want the pain of every time, because I've ended up with a whole load of scripts on master,
Yes.
which are basically Python, which gets run in Lava server managed shell,
Yes.
and it's like, oh yeah, well I sort of want to do that. Okay, I'm going to copy this, and
Yeah, that's the other thing. Of course, you can just, as Dave does many times, you don't just run Lava Server Managed Shell as an interactive shell. You can just throw Python at it. The problem with that, of course, is that you are interacting with Lava as a developer. You've got to know, the Python syntax has got to be correct. So you've got to do the right imports. You've got to do this, that, and the other. It means you've got a fair knowledge of the code at that point.
So how many of that type of script do you have, Dave, and can we have copies of them for examples?
And wait, what are you trying to do with it?
oh, all sorts of things. So over the years, we've had things like we had the zombie jobs, the jobs that were sitting there, not associated with any device, but they were running and things like that. Yeah, that's a lot. That problem's been fixed, but I've got.
But you had scripts.
But I had scripts to find them and kill them.
Yeah, exactly.
So hilariously, I get an alert on IRC saying there are zombies in the lab.
So seriously, it sounds like we could actually do with a few of those as examples, with comments and stuff to help people to adapt them. But you know, if you've written them, I'm sure other people have needed them or have written their own. It sounds like a good thing we could put in the package as examples, or even as an example, a Lava example script package or something.
Don't put it into the documentation, because the problem with these is that they are code, they are interfacing directly with the objects, and those things can change and the imports can change and they get out of date. So that's...
it's risk.
Yeah.
And so the other thing is that, like you said, so you could do Lava server managed shell, and then what, do you pipe the Python into it?
That's your scripts do already, isn't it? Isn't that what they-
Sort of.
Yeah.
I just actually, typically, because it's Python 2, I just exec file on the thing from within the...
Right, okay.
So
Okay. Yeah, I'll have another look at that. I'm pretty sure you can actually just pass the shell.
I've tried that, and
Right.
it doesn't quite work.
Ah.
That's why I was a bit... the interaction, like, as Neil says, what happens is the imports change, the needs for the various things, some fields change and filters get added, and you know, so it's not ideal.
The scripts that you use that are still active need to be pushed back to us, and we'll make helpers, and then we can make sure those helpers continue working, because
we can have tests.
yeah, we can make sure that, so
Okay.
that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Because we want to hide the code functionality behind
Absolutely.
a little Lava Server Manage command helper, rather than actually having to do it in the shell.
Okay.
What
So,
time-
I mean, sorry, but for me, something like being able to cancel a batch easily and quickly, because even if you think about it, it's 3 minutes to remove 900 jobs. It's through the admin interface, even if it will remove 17,000
So if
jobs,
we give
it's
you-
going to take a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, if we give you a Lava Server Manage cancel job, and it takes 2 arguments, job description, which is a string that can include something that Glob understands, and job submitter, which is must be a valid known user, so it's could be the full user. Yes, it'll need to be a fully valid user. You'll need a check on that. You can't do
Fully
a one-shot.
qualified user.
Yeah. Then it will just go through and it can give you progress. It can tell you how many it's cancelled. It's a case of done 20.
But that's going to solve all your timeout problems and whatever. Yeah.
But it will only work on submitted.
No, that's fine.
Test job submitted.
That's fine, because cleaning up running jobs is not a problem.
Yeah.
'Cause,
You've got a limited
unless we've
number
got,
that can be running, yes.
if we've got 10,000 running jobs, we've got other issues.
But your team of 30 people.
Yes.
So I was.
Because we have had issue.
Zombies, yeah.
No, yeah, we have had situations actually where an instance with only 4 devices was running 24,600 jobs.
Yes. And we also had that, that one day at the quorum when it was like, good God, the number of the job numbers just leapt by 200,000. It was like, what?
Oh,
Yes.
I remember that.
Yes, yes. Basically, we made a typo in the code that was trying to calculate the next health check, and we submitted 200,000 jobs and then just let them disappear from the queue in about 4 seconds.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you are pushing those scripts somewhere right now,
So
No.
what we'll do,
because even if you have the helpers, even then, I think there are some transient bugs which get fixed. So there's no further need for any helper. But sometimes for people who are running a similar version of Lava at a given point, it could be useful.
That's why
Okay.
I'm suggesting we should share.
So I've got,
we can possibly
I've
share it
got-
via the mailing list, because that gives a better indication that this is time sensitive, and these examples will stop working at some point.
so I've got,
Stick them in contrib with a warning. You know, that's what other packages do.
On-
You know, this was useful at some point.
on master, I've got scripts in user local bin, which I use to monitor the queues.
Yeah.
I've got scripts in my local /bin, which are mostly those sort of Lava server managed shell type things, and they are not anywhere, and they probably should be. I should probably put them in the salt repo, into the Lava lab repo. When
Yeah, that might be just as good if they're actually in a Git repo that we can point people at from IRC, say they're over there.
Yeah, I was thinking that just a note that if you have any problem you think a script could help with, just ping Dave.
Yeah. No, but we can put something into the admin guide in the docs that says if you're struggling to work out how to do something like that, and you're thinking I need to use the management shell, and you can't seem to do it in the admin interface, have a look over there at some examples that, but big warning on.
With a warning to
on
say,
to-
yeah, these may not work, but they have worked.
Yes, they have
Yeah.
worked in the past, but they
Yes, you know, no warranties, all that kind of stuff.
also.
Yeah. So I'll take it as an action from here
Yeah,
to get those
Into a Git
scripts,
repo.
the ones that are still useful.
exactly.
Because the other thing that occasionally you find is that there are jobs stuck in cancelling, and it's
Yeah.
they're not in the interface. The job itself is stuck in cancelling. It has no device, and you go.
The scheduler is checking for those now.
No, I know, but I've got a script which fixes up if I find it, and it's that sort of thing is an example
Yeah.
that you could use to solve
do
your own
something
problem.
else.
Yes, exactly.
If you've set up your own lab wrong and it's caused some issues like that, then yes, that kind of example script could be really helpful for bulk. Oh God, fix my crap.
Oh, and I would say in almost every example of those scripts, the code is 90% the same.
Yeah.
It's just based on which filter and which. You know.
Yeah, yeah. But it
Yeah.
needs a little bit of familiarity with how you drive Django.
Oh,
in a
sure,
Python
exactly,
shell, and that's
sure.
not common knowledge.
Exactly. So those as examples is great. I mean, hell, I've got example scripts which I've now shared with people because they were asked of things that know how to scan a Debian archive and scan all the binaries for a particular pattern of badness. You know, those kinds of things. They don't take very much, but if you're not sure what you're doing the first time, it can be really daunting.
Yeah. Lava's complex enough as it is.
Yeah. So, okay, that sounds useful.
Yeah.
Who's next?
On the same sort of topic, some of the stuff that you and I developed for working out what was going on with the slow database. Some of the investigation, not just the Django debug toolbar that actually looks at that from there, but actually what to look for in your database.
You mean some hints on how to...
Some hints on which models to look at, which tables to look at, which ones might, where we may need some structural documentation for admins that says typically Lava puts lots of data into these tables.
So
these other tables are less.
So performance tuning hints, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, and not just advice on how to configure the database or whatever, but actually if you're seeing real problems, this is where to look.
Yeah. These are the tables to look at. These are the...
Question for the other Lava Lab users, that Lava uses. I've got scripts which I run on a daily basis, which give me the state of all the queues, the queues for Lava itself. You know, how are we doing? Are we clearing the queues? Is it going up continuously? I've also got scripts which do trends over time for a month, 6 months, that sort of thing. Is that of any use or any interest? Because I need it because to find out if there's, because I've got a lot of devices, if there's something that's stuck.
Now, we've talked about in the hacking room. We talked about the queuing epic that we've actually scoped. So there will be formal Lava support for analysing the queues on that kind of basis and doing some.
Because it's over time that's important.
Yeah, but that all depends on that's in the future. So if we can get your scripts to people who actually need that kind of support.
Well, the reason I asked this is also because Matt mentioned earlier it would be really interesting if we could do a queue report to say kernel CI as submitter. How well are we dealing with them? You know, how quickly, and are we dealing with the problem?
Because at the moment you're scraping it out.
I'm scraping it out. It's hacky.
And then you make you make a local data store somewhere, don't you? Or you stick it in some other.
So I make a copy of the scheduler logs based on I've got duplicates I hold, and I use timestamp to see whether I need to actually copy and all that sort of stuff, and then I grep through for the job queue length and the timestamp, orc it all out, and then push it into a CSV file,
right, so CSV
which then
using
gets imported into the spreadsheet. So and then charts it.
So it would be better if we had this directly inside Lava to help with stats.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I mean that is coming. That is scoped. It just we already know that we can't start that work until we've got rid of the V1 code.
So I mean, I started to, on the basis of what Matt asked, I started to have a look around, and as it stands, the way I'm doing it, I can't find out what kernel CI jobs are, where that queue is in particular.
Yeah, but probably because the scheduler logs are not spitting out.
They're not
useful.
No. Well, they're not telling you when a job is submitted from
them.
They're not telling you who is submitting a job and.
They'll tell you the job number, but that requires another query to work out what job that is.
Exactly. I mean, yes, we could go through that process, but it's a sort of long.
So all the information's in the database.
Oh yeah.
What help to get it out would be.
Well, I mean, you can find out when the job was submitted, when it started running, when it finished, all that sort of stuff, and we can use that information.
I tell you what we can do already, which is we can harness Reactibus and the messages, because now this, do we get V1 job? No.
Not completely.
No, so
not all information for V1 is available,
so
because the scheduler is doing some strange stuff with the status.
And because you've
so I don't get all the signals.
Each worker for V1 has got its own database.
Yeah, so I looked at Reactibus, it's brilliant, but for V1 right now,
it's not going to work for V1.
Yeah, but for V2 jobs, once we actually start this migration properly, then there will be ways of picking up, and you are pushed these notifications that these jobs are coming.
Then I can set up live monitoring and charting and tracking and all that sort of stuff. So,
Is it actually helpful? So Is it not more helpful though to actually to be pulling the stats at the point when you want them? Because otherwise, if you're being pushed information about jobs, you're then going to have to track all that separately outside of the system.
You only start you only get the pushes when you say, give me some information. Then you get the stuff coming out of the pipe until you close the.
Oh, sure. So at that point, all you'll see is a small sample. You're not going to see historical stuff going back a month. Whereas if you query the database directly, you will get that history.
Yeah. But what I'm getting at is that can be done now for V2 jobs, and all the database queuing stuff is actually pending on a much bigger effort because we need to get control back of the scheduler, and that needs to be without the V1 scheduler getting in the way.
Yeah, I mean, as a background task, I can work on something which actually queries the database and gives me the historical data I need over the period of time I need and all that sort of stuff.
If you use a monitoring platform, you don't even need to query the historical data. You just query it every 5 minutes, and like writing a Moonin plugin is very easy, and it will just store the history for you.
We have a Moonin plugin that tracks the queues, don't we?
We did.
Well, no, we still have it. Whether it still works or not, I don't know. I just happened, I was reviewing some of the dead code in Lava Lab the other day, and I noticed we've still got the Moonin path. I haven't blown it away because I thought, that could be useful.
Okay.
What's the timeline, or is it already available, the LXC support for Android jobs on Juno?
It was merged yesterday.
Good.
So Dean put the final fixes in, and Remy merged it, so it is in master. It now needs the physical lab reorganization to get the devices in the right positions on the right workers.
So this is going to be another case where Junos will become V2 only for Android jobs.
Some of them will, yeah.
Do they have to?
Well, because anything that uses Android tools, we have to remove the Android tools from the dispatcher.
So with V1,
because they go into the LXC, into the container.
Yeah. With V1 relied on fastboot being installed on the worker.
But there is no need for fastboot for Juno.
Okay. Is Juno one of the ones that actually, or is V1 still calling fastboot?
No, it's just ADB.
It's just ADB,
It's just ADB over IP.
Right.
But I thought the rules were that we couldn't have any of the Android tools installed, not just fastboot, because we're going to pass.
We don't want ADB running in two places, definitely not. I mean, that's that.
Well, if you've got more than one container, you're going to have it running in two different containers.
But those containers can only see one device path.
Right.
The problem is if you let ADB run on the worker, it can see the entire device.
Right. So I stand by my previous statement that it can be V2 only for Android, for any involving.
Till we get rid of V1, right?
Yeah.
Well, all we need to do at the moment is, I say all, it's all his work. I mean, we've done our bit. So what the lab team need to do is actually move a lot of devices around, move them on to particular workers, and then those devices become V2 only because we will not have fastboot or ADB
on
installed
those dispatchers.
on the dispatcher. You can only access fastboot or ADB via LXC, which can only be done in V2.
But for Juno, it's sort of irrelevant anyway, because for Juno you don't use ADB directly from the dispatcher ever.
You're right, because it's done from the KVM.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And this was
So
done some time ago, so I don't think there is a need. You just have to move it to the proper dispatcher that doesn't have ADB installed. But apart from that, it's just like any other Juno.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, no, that's good. Thank you.
So when we do the move,
Yes,
then
exactly.
we can basically have
And
we
my
can
point
have
is
all
that
the
we
Junos on workers that don't have ADB and fastboot installed.
Yeah.
And then they can run V1 and V2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in
There's a
fact,
bunch of other devices that can't work that way, but the Juno is a special case in many areas.
but I mean, in fact, ADB is still installed on some dispatchers which are running V2 only type things. But it doesn't matter because it never gets executed. That's so because ADB, when you start it, starts up a little server process of DS.
Yes. It's starting ADB. That's the problem, because at startup it goes, oh, let me look at the device. All the devices, they're all mine.
It is handy to have ADB installed on the dispatcher for administration purpose, but I mean, every time when you want to do something on the ADB which is there in the dispatcher, you need to kill server. If not, it's going to affect all the jobs on the dispatcher.
Yeah. So yes, for admin purposes, we will have to have. Well, we can set up tools which run as a container which does everything if we want, but the sort of admin where you're running from the dispatcher means that dispatcher has to be offline.
Yeah, you're going to break everything otherwise.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So we are just coming up on time. Wow, that did fly. It's 20. Yeah. Well, it didn't help with the previous guys overrunning by 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a few bits and pieces to look at, to work on, to share. Anything else that comes to mind? No? Well, thanks everyone. I hope that was useful and helpful. You know where to find us if you think of anything more. This is Dave. Talk to Dave.